Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Elevate Mentorship week number 16, I believe it is. My name is Joey Wilson. I'm a Chairman 100 with I Am Mastery Academy, and I am your host. This is a 26-week series leading to Elevate Convention in Orlando, Florida. And on these calls, we bring the absolute best, not just in I Am Mastery Academy, but in the industry, to come on here and share with you guys how to take your business and your life to the next level. We've had amazing speakers up to thus far, and I'm super excited for today. Before we jump into it, step number one is make sure your entire organization is on this call. The numbers are low today, and they should be way higher than this going into 2023. But it's all good. You know, you guys are here. Take notes so you don't forget the information that you're going to be hearing. Like I say on every call, if you're not taking notes, you're probably just going to forget the information anyways. So make sure you're taking notes, because listen, you could have a whole lineup of 26 weeks, and you can go back to my YouTube channel and look back at all the other Elevate Mentorship calls that we did, and you can watch them again if you already watched them, or if you haven't seen them yet, you can go back. This company is filled with amazing speakers, with amazing leaders, with people that have done something, not just people that can talk the talk, but people that are really out there doing this thing at a very, very high level. And so we have a lot of great calls coming up ahead, but also in the past as well. So step number one is make sure your entire organization is on this call. Step number two, make sure you're taking notes. And number three, there may or may not be income talked about on this call. So there's no guarantees regarding income. Your success or failure depends on your own skill set and personal effort, right? If you don't do anything, you're probably not going to make any money. And I was cool with that. When I saw this industry at 22 years old, I was ready. I was looking, and I'm like, dude, I want a dream life. I'm not going to be a pro baseball player. I'm not going to be a rapper, but how am I supposed to get this dream life? How am I supposed to become financially free? I didn't come from a family with a bunch of money that are going to just give me a bunch when they pass away. How am I going to do it? I am so thankful that I saw this industry May 1st of 2012, and I pushed my chips all in, and I've been doing this thing for coming up on 11 years. And there's nothing else I'd rather do. We are at the right place at the right time with the right leadership. And I was just on the Chairman 100 call yesterday. And that call, I talked to some of my leaders about it. Amazing things happening inside of this company. I'll just put it at that. And you guys will see over the next 90 days, some great things that this company is coming out with. So that being said, let's jump into our first speaker, or our speaker of the day, guys. Very blessed that he said he would hop on this call. I met this gentleman years ago when I first got in this industry. Our previous company, it did just under $1 billion in sales at its peak. I mean, this thing was a behemoth. And the leadership in this company, leadership starts from the top down, right? It was the leaders that really created a path for kids like me to hop on board and have success. And this person you're about to hear from is that guy. I mean, he is the co-founder of my previous company, a company that found me. I met a guy that showed me this company, and that was the first place in my life that I ever saw any sort of success. And this gentleman speaking tonight, he was the co-founder of it. But not only that, I remember there was an event called The View from the Edge. The View from the Edge. It was once a year, and there was a red carpet event, and you had to bring a suit. This was back in 2012, I believe, 2013 maybe. I didn't have a suit at this point in my life, so I borrowed my dad's. And there's a picture of me somewhere on my social media of me wearing my dad's baggy suit, looking over at this dude's car. It was an Audi R8. I can't remember what the license plate said. It was like WV paid or something. It was the company, paid for or whatever. And I'm just looking at this car, and I'm like, God, I love R8s. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, I will do whatever it takes to have his life. And then I watched him over the years speak on stage, and I'm like, this gentleman is next level. And he's been in the direct sales industry for over 25 years. Not only that, he's an entrepreneur. He does many things outside of this industry. He was, he owned a bunch of race horses. He owns Airbnbs. He charters yachts in Bahamas. That's where he was last week. So he has a life that I'm chasing after, where you can wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to take a one-way flight to the Bahamas and have my captain come aboard, and I'm going to chill on this yacht for the next few days with my buddies. and then I'm going to cash flow the yacht when I'm not on it. And it's the lifestyle that he has created is unreal. But recently, well, not recently, maybe a year ago, he partnered with I Am Mastery Academy, maybe over a year ago. He'll tell you the story, but he brought travel over here. He's the creator, the founder of TLX. He has amazing relationships and inside of the travel industry. And I'm just excited for everything that is about to blossom within that. So this dude is an absolute stud. And people, when I came over here from my previous company, they're like, oh, why are you going to the Forex company? When Wes came here, they're like, a lot of my network that knows Wes was like, Wes would not do something if he would not tie his name to a company if he truly didn't believe in it. And some of you on this call probably don't even know Wes like I do, but he is a legend in this game. And he's behind the scenes working on some very special things for all of us to take our business to the next level, to create a better lifestyle for us and our families. And I couldn't be more excited. And we have him on this call tonight with us. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Wes, and you can take it from here and you can close out the call when you're done, brother.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, man. It was good getting a chance to hear some of those memories from the old days, so to speak. And you know, it's been a long time, because I remember when we started the previous company back in 2005. You know, I was the youngest of the founders, and I was 24 years old at the time. And you know, for me, I was always one of the young ones, and so it's good getting a chance to see you and your leadership and the people that are on here tonight, because I see some familiar faces and some familiar names. And you know, it's an exciting time, you know. And I think a lot of people ask about, you know, my experience in travel, my experience in direct sales. And you know, there's been a lot that's happened over the course of the last 25 years. And tonight I thought I'd talk a little bit about, you know, kind of my story and how I got here, because I think, you know, the experiences that I've had over the last 25 years are very unique. And because of that, it's really given me an understanding of the way that travel and direct sales and network marketing really blends together. And I'm grateful for all the experiences. You know, I mean, I think looking back on the previous company, you know, a lot of people say, okay, well, you know, that company's, you know, gone, and you're doing something different. You did that for, you know, 12, 13 years. And I did, but I think, you know, I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for that experience. And we helped a lot of people make a lot of money. I traveled all over the world. I've been to almost 70 countries. And, you know, I was kind of like Joey when I got started. You know, I came from a very average income family. I grew up in a small town in Texas. And growing up in Texas, you know, my family's idea of a family vacation was going to visit my grandparents in the summertime. I mean, that was their idea of a family vacation. We didn't go to the beach. We didn't go to, I mean, we didn't even go to the lake. I mean, where I grew up in Texas, we didn't even have lakes. And so we didn't get to do those things. You know, my dad worked a lot. And then once my parents were divorced, I was basically in two single income households, you know. So when I lived with my mom, single income. When I lived with my dad, it was single income. And so I had a very average, you know, upbringing. And I didn't even have a passport until I was about 23. I got my first passport actually right before we started that last company. So I want to walk you through a little bit about kind of how I got here, because I think that if you understand my perception on travel and kind of what the vision was and how it started, I think that it'll help you have a deeper understanding in what we're doing and what we're building. And before I go through that, I actually wanted to give you some good news. I don't even know if Joey knows this yet, but because I just got the sales report for the first 7 days of January. Now, in network marketing in general, I've been doing this for 25 years, direct sales since 1997, network marketing since 2004. And so for the first 7 years of my career, I was in pure direct sales. And so, you know, November, December is always kind of a slow season for network marketing and direct sales. You know, people don't work as much. They don't, you know, they're spending money on other stuff. They're not really starting new businesses. It's just not normally a a good recruiting time, a good growth time, even for this company, because I have now the kind of the historical data at IM, and now that I'm working with corporate. And so, you know, November, December has never really been great. Well, we launched TLX at the end of June. So July was our first full month. So July was good. You know, we kind of just trickled in. We had some expectations on how TLX sales were going to go. And we basically were just kind of right on par. And each month was just a little bit bigger, you know, so July was good, then August, and then, you know, September, and then October, things started growing. And what's crazy is we didn't even get to show TLX at a live company event until October. You know, we launched it at a Super Saturday in Guadalajara, where I was speaking on stage in English, and my Spanish is not good enough to do a presentation on stage in front of 5,000 people. Now, granted, you know, Herman throws kick-ass events, and it was a big event in Guadalajara, but I mean, so nobody had even seen TLX from a corporate standpoint at a corporate event until October. So we launched it the last week of June, but I mean, nobody even really knew exactly what was going on. We've been working on this behind the scenes for the last year or so. And so October was good. Then November doubled October. So we literally went from where we were just growing like this to all of a sudden then the sales spiked. And so November, we doubled October. And I was thinking, okay, well, if we just do in December what we did in November, that'll be good, right? I don't want to go backwards, but it's a slow time, it's slow season, it's Christmas. People are, you know, I mean, you know, people are taking at least a week off, you know, so you're really looking at like a 3-week month. So when you're looking at your business kind of like a CEO, that's one of the things that I used to train on and teach on, is kind of looking at your business as a CEO. You know, understanding the ebbs and flows of sales and the sales process and holidays and seasonality. All of these things are things that as you become a real entrepreneur and a real network marketer, you know, you're running your business like a CEO. You know, Joey does a really good job organizationally and from a communication standpoint on running his organization and keeping people in the mix. But those are the CEO type characteristics that when you want to run a massive, you don't get to Chairman 100 and not have these skills, you know. And so I was just hoping that we could stay flat in December. Well, I got the sales report for December, you know, a week ago, and we almost doubled November. I was blown away when I saw it. I was in the Bahamas, and I got the report, and I told Brienne, my girlfriend, I'm like, this can't be right. There's no way we doubled what we just did in November, and on basically a 3-week month. There's just no way. And sure enough, we did. And then I literally today, I got the sales report for the first week of January. We've already done almost 30% of the sales that we did last month in December, which was double the month of November. So we doubled October and November. We almost doubled November and December. And in the first 7 days of January, we're already at like 30% of last month. So I mean, if we track right, we could more than double December in January. This is crazy because, you know, when you look at what's happening around the world, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of talk of recession. You know, there's all this negativity. But here's the great thing, and Joey knows this. We've already made it through with a travel program through the last great recession, right? The financial crisis in 2008 and 9. In fact, our company did really well because people didn't stop traveling during the financial crisis. They were just looking to save money. They were looking for better deals. They were more thrifty about where they were going. They didn't close the airports. They didn't close the airlines, you know, when the financial crisis happened. You know, homes were getting foreclosed, and but alcohol sales were up, travel sales were up. You know, people were boozing it and having fun. They may have been in foreclosure behind on their mortgage, but they were still taking vacations. And so you know, I'm blown away by what's happening right now with TLX, our program. You know, I'm about to announce, and Joey's going to love this one too. We officially have the agreement signed with Terra Solis now, which is owned and run by Tomorrowland, which is the biggest music festival in the world. I mean, if you haven't been to Tomorrowland, if you're an electronic music person, you haven't been, I mean, that's a shame. But I mean, it really, if you're a music person in general, even if you're not huge on electronic music, Tomorrowland is like, I mean, it is the most incredible music experience I've ever been to in my entire life. I went in 2017 and it was crazy. So I've been on the phone with the director of Terra Solis and then the director of hospitality, which handles all of their accommodations. And so they basically, for those of you who don't know, just really quick, they create Tomorrowland in the middle of nowhere in Belgium. And no offense, I mean, I know we probably have some Europeans on here. I mean, you know, there's places like this in Texas, but it's in Boone, Belgium. It's like in the middle of nowhere. And they build this entire city. And when Tomorrowland ends, literally the day that it ends, so it's a 2-weekend deal. They run it for 2 weekends. And when it ends, they literally start the next day breaking down and setting up for the next year. That's crazy to me, right? That, you know, they literally start breaking down the setup and then they build for the next year until the next Tomorrowland. They build for that long, right? It takes them a full year to build this thing. It's crazy. So they added a winter festival and now they're doing a couple of pop-up festivals, but they created a partnership in Dubai with the Dubai Tourism Board. And it's called Terra Solis, and it's crazy. It's literally like a mirage in the desert. They picked this place that's just right outside of Dubai. And I think, and I'm going to do an interview with the director where he's going to really tell the whole story. And I'm going to share it with TLX. It's probably going to be next TLX Tuesday. But like they basically, you know, they found this amphitheater and they converted it. They built accommodations. They've got pools. They have live music around the clock. It's crazy. So we're doing that. We have some anytime rates that we're going to have. We have a couple of group rates that you're going to be able to book for Terra Solis. But this is just the beginning. You know, I mean, these are the types of things that we want to do to give people these experiences, because it's like Joey said, you know, the thing that attracted me to the travel industry was I saw on TV, right? I saw these movies and these places, and I didn't come from money. I hadn't been places, but I read about them in books and I saw it in movies and on TV. I wanted to go these places. And that was the thing that made me become an entrepreneur, because I was pre-law. I mean, I graduated university with honors. I got accepted to all the law schools that I applied to. I was going to go to law school, but you know, all the lawyers that I was talking to that I was going to set up internships with, they all were like, I hate my life. I never see my family. I never see my kids. I never get to travel. I make a lot of money, but I'm not really happy. And it was crazy because this is basically what everybody was telling me when I was like interviewing to be, you know, an intern for law school. And you know, I just decided the direct sales company I was with, they gave me a bonus to do another 18 months after I finished undergrad. And that, you know, my first year out of college, I made like 300 grand. And at that point I was like, I made more money than both of my parents combined my first year out of college. And so I was like, I guess if I need an attorney, I'll just hire them, you know, because I'm not going to go back to being a broke college student. And I saw these places around the world. I wanted to travel, but the problem is that the direct sales company that I was working with, I'd broken all the records. I was #1 in all the sales reports, but I couldn't take any time off. There was no residual income. So literally at every first of the month, we're starting over back at zero again, you know, and if you had a bad month, you had a bad month. I mean, there was no residual income. I mean, we had very little repeat business with that company because our products were guaranteed for life. So you basically guarantee yourself out of sales. You know, the company had to create new products to keep getting business and customers because the products that they sold were guaranteed forever. They were amazing products. But you were always looking for the next sale. I built a huge organization. I ran the whole state of Florida, but I wasn't happy. You know, I was overweight more than I am now. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't involved in church or the community or anything because I was literally at my office 24/7. I worked 7 days a week. I had 24 offices in the state of Florida that I managed. I put in 1 year driving to all my offices because I had offices all along the East Coast and all along the West Coast. So I lived in Miami. I would drive all the way up the coast to Jacksonville. I would drive over across through Pensacola, through Tallahassee, Gainesville, come back down the East Coast. And in 1 year on my car in 2001, one, I believe it was, I put 38,000 miles on my car in 1 year. And I was not happy and I wanted to travel. So I thought myself, being naive, I thought, well, if I get into the travel business, then I'll travel more, right? I mean, this was like, you know, the naive thinking. It was like kind of going back to like when you got your first jobs, like in high school and college. It's like, well, if you like sports, you get a job at like Foot Locker or like one of these sports stores and you could get discounts, you get the hookup, right? So that's kind of what got me to travel. So I started my first travel company as a side hustle. I'd studied abroad in Costa Rica when I was in college in 1998. And so I hired a couple of my friends in Costa Rica. I started my first travel company on the side in Costa Rica back in 2000. And I did it on the side while I was running my direct sales business. And I started having fun. I bought a place in Costa Rica. I was spending, 6 weeks, 7 weeks a year in Costa Rica. I decided that travel is what I wanted to do. The problem is that there just was no money in travel, right? Like, how many times have you met an uber wealthy travel agent or somebody who's retired off of their travel agent job, right? There was just no money in traditional travel. So I stumbled onto travel and network marketing in 2004, met my who would become my partners in the next company. We worked briefly. Within like 6 months, I was making 15 to 20 grand a month. Residually, I found residual income for the first time, but we didn't have anything unique and we didn't have anything proprietary, and it was really not built on something that was built to be long-term. And so there were 5 of us there that decided to leave, and we started World Ventures in 2005. And I was the youngest of the founders. I'd only been in the industry in network marketing for about 8 months. 9 months when we started World Ventures. And so I had a lot of direct sales background, but I had been running my travel company that I had just sold in Costa Rica for 3 or 4 years. So I planned all of the first trips for World Ventures. So what would become the Dream Trips concept, I basically created for the company. And so I was running travel, but I also built what was in the beginning was about 80% of the company's volume on the network marketing side. And that's what started it all. And for us, the real reason was we wanted to be able to travel and see the world. And, I was making a lot of money in direct sales, but most of my friends and family, they couldn't travel with me. The only time I had friends traveling with me prior to World Ventures was if I was paying. I mean, that was it. Because all my friends in college, I was making, 300 grand a year, 250, 300. I mean, and I thought that was a lot of money because back then I'd grown up in a small town in Texas. That's all I knew. My parents never made more than $60,000 in a year. So when I'm making 250, 300, I'm thinking I'm rich until I moved to Miami. And then I lived in Miami, and that was in the days of Will Smith singing about $100,000 cars. Everybody's got them. And I was just, it was the law of the lid for me, if you're familiar with that concept, because it opened my mind. And I still think going back on the move to Miami was probably one of the biggest eye openers for me, because when that happened, it just, I would never go back. Like it's the law of the lid, the goldfish, it's like, I was never going to go back into the little bowl. I was never going to go back into the little tank. I thought bigger. I dreamed bigger. I saw bigger. I saw these ridiculous waterfront houses. It gave me more of a passion for even, the beach and the ocean, which has been a big deal for me as well, a big motivator. And so, when we started the concept of group travel and network marketing in 2005, nobody had ever done it before. We were the first. And it was really just a way for us to travel with our friends and family. And the way we justified it was if we can figure out a way where we can travel together with our friends and family, and we can make money getting people excited about doing that exact same thing, the power of that should be universal. It should be global. I've always said that travel is really the universal language. And so that's what we did. And, it had an incredible experience. I turned, more than a dozen people that I personally shared that with into millionaires, that people that had never had money before in their life. And it was a great experience. And then, for me, it was just When my mentor, who was one of the majority owners, stepped away from the company in 2015, a lot of things changed. And for me, it wasn't fun anymore. And there were a lot of decisions that I didn't agree with. And so I decided to do my own thing. You know, I started focusing on real estate, Airbnb, because my goal is to have a portfolio of houses in the places that I like to go to, that I wanted to visit. And if they could pay for themselves when I'm not there, then I could go and use them anytime. So this was another one of those. It's like you just sit around and you think about these things. And I guess one of the big differences between me and a lot of other people is I think some of this crazy stuff and I just go figure out a way to make it happen, you know? And so that's what I started doing. I started focusing on my investments, on my money, on the money that I had made. And that's when I decided also to get signed up as a student in IM Mastery Academy, because, you know, I've known Alex Morton for a decade, and I'd watched him and I'd seen him have success. I was good friends with Julian Kushner and some of the other guys. I was seeing what Joey was doing. And, you know, Joey had success at WV, but not like what he's done here. And I think, you know, you look at some of the differences and some of the big advantages to building on this structure, this comp plan, this company. And tonight, this call is not about that, but if you just look at Joey's track record and what he was able to do, I mean, he'll tell you, he works twice as hard for probably a fifth or less as much money. This comp plan, it was just different. And so I saw that. I saw what was happening here, and so I decided to get involved as a student and as an IBO. And you know, I hit chairman within a few weeks, and then I had conversations with Chris Terry and Kyle Lowe and some of the other chairmen, and Chris just said, "Hey, can we do what you did here, but better?" And I was like, "Well, hell yeah, we can, for sure." I mean, that, you know, I've had a lot of ideas and things that never came to fruition, or I never got to do, and that, you know, other people didn't want to do or didn't agree with. And so I had a lot of ideas, and I've been doing this for over 20 years now. And so we started working on TLX in the background, started interviewing technology partners, started going through all of that stuff. And the important thing for Chris Terry was, he just said, you know, look, we have to be the best out of the gates. So if we're not going to be the best, if we're not going to have the best, I'm not interested. And I feel like we did it. I feel like we did that out of the gates. I feel like we created a unique offering that had tremendous value. Nobody had ever done anything like the anniversary trip that we're doing. And so even if that's all you did, right? If you just looked at it, because to me, I kind of looked at it going back to, you know, the WV days as a membership, because, you know, it's like if you had a gym membership where you could pay whatever that dollar amount was, and then each year they would make you fit and healthy, right? I mean, everybody would do it, right? Because people pay to have the membership, but then they don't use it. So then it's like, do I keep paying for something I'm not using? Am I really getting benefit? But if somebody was like, once a year, we're going to just wave a wand at the end of your year that you've paid for your gym membership, and we're going to make you fit. Like, we're going to make you look like Joey. You know, I'm just like an older, less in shape Joey. That's what I like to tell everybody. So, but you know, if that was the way it worked, everybody would have a gym membership. Everybody would be fit, because people would pay it. And then at the end of the 12 months, they'd wave their magic wand, and then they'd have a six pack. Well, I felt like if we could do that with this, if we could provide a membership that even if they didn't use it all the time, or maybe even in some cases didn't use it once, but then we come around in month 12 and we're like, here's the magic wand, right? Here is the, you know, what you paid in, here, we're giving it back to you. And so the more you use it, the more you save. The more you use it, the more you benefit. That's really the mantra of TLX. And we've been able to do that from the beginning. I mean, in the first 90 to 120 days, we saved, documented, okay? Because the way our search engine works on the retail booking platform, that we get up to 60% off, we scrape real-time data from 2 or 3 of the top travel sites in the world. So when you see savings of 32%, savings of 42%, savings of 16%, That's real-time savings. That's literally the computer is pulling the real-time price retail, and then it's showing you our price. So these are not like some crazy furniture store prices where it's like, was $9.99, now today only $5.99. Nobody ever paid $9.99, right? You guys know that, right? Like the furniture stores, they have like the grand opening sale like every weekend, and then it's like the re-grand opening and the re-grand opening. It's like nobody ever paid the higher sticker price, right? They mark it out with the red marker and show you the, now it's $4.99. That is not how our booking engine works. Our booking engine shows you real time. That means, right, that somebody's sitting at their computer somewhere, and you're sitting at your computer wherever you are, and you're booking the exact same hotel, all right, and you're paying 42% less than what they're paying at the exact same time you're clicking. To me, that was crazy, right? Because, you can save immediately. So you may not be able to go on a group trip. You may not be able to go on an anytime trip right now, but we wanted to have the ability for you to join and then immediately use the product. Because once again, the way I built it was based on the track record of the previous company. The biggest problem with the previous company is group travel was all we had. So if you went on a group trip, you stayed. If you didn't go on a group trip, you quit, right? It's the same thing with the academies, right? If they get on the academy and trade, they stay. If they don't get on the academy, or if they get on the academy and get off, they quit. It's the same thing with any other products, right? I mean, the auto ship concept, the automatic reminder, it's the automatic reminder to cancel, right? If it fills up your cabinets, right, you're getting all your, whatever it is, your get skinny potions and whatever it is, and it's just a reminder to cancel. But if you have an incentive to stay, right? Well, with the trading academy, your incentive to stay is if you're making money and you're trading and you're having success, you're going to stay. You're not quitting ever. Well, with this, if you're booking travel, you're saving money, you're having experiences, you're immediately getting a chance to use it, even if it's for a wedding or a conference or a business meeting or a date night or whatever. It doesn't have to be a group trip. With the last company, we lost people because people would join and there might not be a group trip that they could even book or go on or wanted to go on for 9 months. So here's somebody paying a monthly membership fee, and then we did this for 14 years. Right? They're paying every month, and they can't even, when we started in 2005, I could only book so many trips. I booked the first 5 dream trips. In the first year in 2005, the first full year was 2006. We launched in 2005. Here's the other funny part. We launched the concept in October of 2005. We didn't even have the first trip available until January 2006. So people paid October, November, December, and couldn't even book the first trip until January. And then whenever it came out, it sold out the first day. Then we had another one come out the next month, and then that one sold out in like 2 days. So now we've been in business 6 months, and people could literally use the product for 2 days out of 6 months. And we signed up like 15,000 people. So with one of the first taglines of that company was the trip of a lifetime monthly. So we did 12 trips our first 12 months. That was it. That was the whole concept. And people couldn't use it. And so we needed to figure out a way to get people to be able to use different components of TLX as soon as they join. So by having the retail booking site, it gives them the ability to use something right away that they can, use on their own. They don't have to wait for anybody. They don't have to wait for anybody. No dates, no deposits, no planning, no group. They can just go book a hotel tonight. And I encourage you, the deal is, it's a 4-step process to earning free travel for life. You join the club, you join TLX, all right? You use it, all right? Then the third thing is you share it. And then the fourth thing is you earn it. So it's 4 steps: join, use, share, earn. That's it. That's all you have to do. You can do that for life, just like Joey and I have already done and we're doing right now. We're already doing it. And so, you can at least earn a free membership by referring to. So now you've earned a free bucket list trip for the rest of your life by just referring 2 people. Where can you do that? Where does that exist? It doesn't, because we created it. Now, of course, we've already got some copycats. It didn't take long. That's the thing, right? Everybody is watching us. Everybody's watching what we do. Everybody's watching what we're doing. Everybody's wanting to add it. Everybody's wanting to talk about it. Everybody's talking about our anniversary trips, right? It's like, why didn't we think of that? Well, you didn't. But, you know, imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? And so we're doing things right. And we're having success, and sales are exploding right now in a time that's notoriously been slow. And sales are picking up in the US. You know, we cleaned house, and the company terminated some people, and we made some decisions that, you know, I mean, you know, that if it was about money, the decisions wouldn't have been made. That's the thing also that I love about Chris Terry. He doesn't care. Like, to him, running business right, legally, the right way, ethically, is more important to him than money. And I got to be honest, coming from my last company, and some of my partners there, that's not the way they thought. You know, they were more concerned about the money and how much money they could make and how much money they had than they were about the customers or about the company. You know, well, I won't even get into all that. Just there's lawsuits out there. You can read about it yourself. And so it's facts. But that, I love that about Chris, that he's like, look, if there's people that are not doing the right thing, that don't have the company's best interest, you know, that are not compliant or that are not this, like, I don't care. I don't need them. And he doesn't need the money. You know, I mean, I've gotten a chance to hang out with him when we launched TLX in Guadalajara. He invited me to fly back on one of his planes to Vegas. And, you know, the dude is just on a different level. He thinks differently. He's savant smart. He's different. I mean, if you've spent any time with him, you know that. You've seen that. If you've seen him on stage, he's a different kind of guy. But you know, he's savant smart, and he understands the markets. He understands business. He's aggressive, but he's loyal. And he's also super generous, and you just don't normally find those types of qualities in people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here and why I put the time and effort into helping create TLX. And I think things are gonna be phenomenal. I think 2023 is going to be ridiculous. I think that we've got some big, massive things ahead of us. The companies continue to invest in, you know, they're kind of learning on the fly. Obviously, we have new products and new SKUs and new programs, and there's going to be some changes, and we're going to have to grow with that. And that's just part of it. You know, when you have growing pains, they happen different ways. And I've been there. I've been through $1 billion company already that I've started, and I feel I'm more excited about this. I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm better, in a better place in my life, personally, professionally, and how I feel about the future than I ever was at the previous company. You know, we're helping people make money. We're helping people save it. We're helping people know what to do with it. And that was one thing that we let people down with that last company, is that, you know, we didn't want to ever have anybody looking at other ways to make money, no other investments. I love that. When we were on the Dubai chairman trip, and Joey will remember this. And Joey, if you're there, if you want to pop in, and if you have any questions, or if you want to pop in, or I can wrap up. But when we were in Dubai, the first night we had a dinner cruise, and Chris was talking, and he's like, you know, we're driving around the marina, and there's these, you know, $1 million houses and $1 million condos and all these yachts. And he's like, man, I want you guys to have this stuff. I want you guys to invest around the world. I want you to have investments. I want you to have houses. And, you know, I've been talking to people about the Airbnb, the house we have in Tulum, and the yacht and all this other stuff. And, you know, to me, that was never the way it was at my old company. It just never was, because, you know, the thought process there was, if you were doing other things, you were taking your eye off the ball. And, you know, we wanted people to have to always be working, right? If they were making other streams of income, then that was less time or money that they were making here, and focusing on the business, you know. And to me, that's just the wrong way to look at it. You should live in abundance, and you should think about abundance, and you should try to be in a place where you want people to have success. You want people to build wealth. You don't want to have people on a hamster wheel for their entire career, their entire life. My dad just had his 5th heart attack, and is still working. I can't get him to retire, you know, and part of it is, you know, his Social Security, and, you know, his wife's, you know, Social Security. And I mean, he's 70, almost 70, he'll turn 71 in 60 days. You know, it's sad, because, I mean, it doesn't matter. I pay for this, I'll pay for that. It doesn't matter. He just won't stop. And we're going to have a different mentality here. You know, my daughter's being raised differently. You know, I didn't even have a passport until I was 23 or 24 years old, and she's got more stamps in her passport at 12 than I did in the first 30 years of my life. So it's a different mindset, a different mentality. And Joey's a great example of that, a great dad and family man. And, it's good seeing him do the same thing that I've done with my daughter, and seeing them with the sign the other day. It's my favorite sign pick so far. So I don't know if you have any questions, bro, or if anybody else does.
I was just gonna say, man, we gotta keep you on these calls over and over, because I think there's a lot of people that still maybe not have caught the full vision of what travel can look like tied in with their business with trading. And my buddy over here, he's like, dude, I'm ready to start traveling with this thing. I mean, it just makes sense, and you paint the perfect picture of why it does, and you make it just common sense. Like, why would you not? This is the best travel platform on the planet. You can get paid to share it with people, get 2 people, and you get free trips. Like, it's a no-brainer. So,
and I mean, I was trading last week when we were in the Bahamas, and I'll be back in the Bahamas this weekend, and I'll be doing some trades, and it's just it's a beautiful thing. And it wasn't really what we have now. Was not a reality when I started this journey 20 years ago, because we didn't have Zoom, we barely had internet, there was no social media, and so the ability, when I started trading, I placed my first stock trades and options trades in 1997, 1998. I was day trading when I was in college, and I was having to go in my dorm, and then later the fraternity house. I was having to go down the hall and get on the payphone and call my broker to place trades back in 1997 and 1998 during the dot-com boom. And, now with technology, you really can be a digital nomad. And to me, I mean, that's what I always dreamed of. I mean, I wanted to be Indiana Jones when I was a kid. And so I feel like I'm kind of a modern day entrepreneurial Indiana Jones. I love exploring. I love going new places. And, I feel like this is just the beginning of the journey for us here at this company and where we're going. So,
yeah. And I don't know if you talked about it with Jason or Chris at all, but Jason brought up a good point on the Chairman 100 call, looking for or trying to figure out a good promo to run. And he was talking about, we need to find a way for people to earn trips. And I'm like, dude, if we can get that locked in, it's game over. I mean, just like in our previous deal, I mean, you could get executive status, and
sure,
that would be unreal if that was possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get there. We're just getting started. We have the benefit of being with a company that's done $1 billion in revenue at this point, with a new concept. So you don't have to worry about a startup. It's funny. I see all these people that are like, "Oh, I'm joining a startup," and I'm like, "Did you get dropped on your head as a kid, or did you get kicked by a horse? Like, what's wrong with you?" And they always give me this weird look. I'm like, that's not a good thing, bro. Trust me, I've been there. I started one myself, and we made it to $1 billion, and then we still lost it. And it was a miracle that we made it as far as we did. I mean, it's not easy, and there's a lot of ups and downs and pitfalls. And man, you just trust me. I've been there, done that. You do not want that journey. I mean, we were loaning money to the company the first few years at World Ventures. I mean, it sounds cool. Oh yeah, working with a startup. Okay, awesome, great. So would you rather be working with Facebook or with, MySpace or some other company that, is trying to be like Facebook? I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Well, I appreciate it, brother, for you taking time out of your day to hop on this call. And like you said, you're in the Bahamas and you had the biggest month yet. You might just need to go keep chilling out in the Bahamas on the yacht.
I am. I'm taking a little break from social media, but I am a lot of places, and I have my daughter half the time, so I have her 50% of the time. So, but I am, and I think that's the thing, right? Is that people are watching you. And so if you say you're in the travel business because it's really not just travel, right? We're talking about travel, lifestyle experiences. You're in the entertainment business. But if you're in the travel, lifestyle experience business, and you're not traveling, and you're not exploring, and you're not having these lifestyle experiences, are you really, right? I mean, it's like a fat person trying to sell weight loss products, right? You're not going to get trained at the gym by the heavy guy who's got no muscles and no abs, right? And you're not going to go buy nutritional supplements from them either. Well, you're not going to go sign up for travel lifestyle experiences from the guy who's living in his parents' basement, who's never going anywhere, never doing anything, and not getting out there and starting your journey, you know? So get the product, use the product, share the product, and then earn the product. You've got to follow those 4 phases. If you can't, you're doing the wrong thing, because if you don't like traveling and you don't like experiences, I mean, maybe you got dropped on your head. I don't know. But the reality is that if you do that, then in my opinion, based on my experience, you will have success. If you keep talking to people about it and you're doing it and they're seeing it, they're watching you. They're the people you've talked to or you've invited or that you will invite. Whenever you do invite them, if you just got off a yacht or you just got off a trip or you just came home from Vegas or you just booked Vegas or you just booked Mexico, they're going to be like, bro, what's the hookup? Where did you go? Where did you stay? What did you spend? You know, these are the things people talk about. You know, it's like if you got ripped and shredded and you looked like Joey, right? I'm sure people ask Joey, well, Joey posts workout stuff, right? I mean, Joey, like, hey, what about this exercise? What about that? You become that person. You become the expert. You become the go-to. And that's how your friends and family and network will see you if you act as if. So you got to use the product.
Yep, exactly. And if you just love trading, it's all good. Go trade in Cancun. You can do it from anywhere around the world.
Right.
And it's just your lifestyle looks that much better.
That's right.
So, well, I appreciate it, brother. And yeah, we'll have to have you on again sometime soon, and appreciate everything you're doing for this company, because you're adding another component that's just taking this thing to 1 billion even faster, and giving all of us that surfboard to hop on and ride the wave with you. So again, I appreciate you very much, and hopefully you guys got some value out of that call. Type fire in the chat for Mr. Wes Melcher, and we'll be talking to everybody soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Likewise, brother. Take care, guys. Peace.